Ron, thank you so much for joining us. The last time we spoke with you, it was during hurricane season. What a hurricane season it was. Florida, the Carolinas, folks there dealing with claims. And a lot of people, frankly, didn't have insurance. Maybe they did have hurricane insurance, but they didn't have flood insurance, and flooding is what destroyed their house. So knowing what you know about the insurance industry and what you have seen, what's been happening in California, first off, what was your reaction to seeing just kind of the devastation across California, the Los Angeles County area?
It has been crazy. I don't think we've ever seen something like that in our lifetime. I mean, 100-mile-an-hour winds with fire is crazy. It's like straight out of a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks, frankly, straight out of a movie when you look at the Pacific Palisades, for example, or for example, the Altadena area. So something crazy too is that so many different insurance companies are bailing, and we talked about that earlier too. Parts of Florida, they're getting out of Florida. They're also getting out of California, and that, frankly, is the reality for some of these folks. So what can people do if they don't have insurance? Are they just out of luck?
So each state will have what is the last resort as far as insurance companies go. In California, it's called the FAIR Plan. The sad thing about that is the area that was damaged, the cap for the FAIR Plan is $3 million on residential houses. And there's a lot of houses in Palisades that are worth a lot more than $3 million. So uh, what what you'd be able to recoup from that California Fair Plan is going to be it could be a lot less than what you it's going to take to rebuild your house.
And so there was some figure too that like 70% of people didn't have insurance that were affected by the wildfire situation in California. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you have two situations there. You have California residents who had their properties paid for and they were just taking the risk or the gamble of not having to have insurance. But the bigger issue was a lot of carriers last year tried to get the state to let them increase premiums, and the state said no. And then they asked them to, well, you need to fix the underlaying brush, and so the fuel won't be there for wildfires. And the state said no. And then they said, okay, we're leaving then. And the next thing you know, you have, I think, 75,000 residents in Palisades alone that got their insurance canceled in between October and December of last year.
And I mean, the timing couldn't be worse. I mean, for these people.
No, you wouldn't expect to have a fire in January in the Palisades. I mean, that's not necessarily fire season. It's cold weather season. Um, but it made for a perfect storm in the aspect that the winds were there, and you had the fuel from all the underlaying brush and uh, just natural kindling.
So for people who are watching this, what do you tell them? And I know, like, for your background too, you are the CEO of the National Claims Negotiators, and you guys take on insurance companies, correct?
Yeah, that's all we do for a living. Is we're gonna help negotiate those complex claims when it comes to battling the insurance companies on fire losses, tornadoes, hurricanes, whatever the case may be. Um, you have to say to property owners that it's their job, their responsibility to review their policies and make sure they do have coverage for things like this.
So here in Arizona, we have a wildfire season. It can be pretty bad, frankly, and we're in a drought right now. So right now we're expecting that it could be a bad one, especially in the summer. What would you tell our folks here in Arizona just about protecting their home, protecting their property? We haven't had insurance companies bailing on folks here in our state yet. But what would you tell them about their homes and just about insurance in general and what to do before a wildfire?
The biggest thing is the gamble is not worth the risk. You need to keep your insurance. You need to make sure that you have proper coverage. You need to know where your liabilities stand. You talked about the drought there. Do you have brush, overgrown brush, trees that are brittle and need to be coming down, that need to be cut back so that they can't jump from the tree to your house? Those are the types of things you want to do to protect yourself in a fire. You also want to make sure that you have a fire extinguisher at the house, and you want to know the escape routes if you do have to abandon your house. Make sure all your fire detectors and smoke detectors are working.
And as far as just if something does happen to your house and you have to deal with an insurance company, is there, I don't know, a tip or a tactic that a homeowner should know going into it, and it's something that you see all the time that, that someone should know? You just held up the phone.
One of the I'll plug my iPhone here. That's one of the easiest things that you can do as a consumer is walk through your property and videotape the walls, the ceilings, the floors, the type of furniture that you have, the type of fixtures that you have, and walk through your entire house and make sure you document all that stuff. And then that's going to be set up in the cloud so that even if you lost your phone, it's there for you to download and you can go back and say, I had this, I had that. And the carrier's not going to be able to argue as easily with you about what your countertops look like, what your cabinets look like, the quality of finish out on the inside of your house, the types of sofas and furniture that you had. You'll have all that stuff documented, and it's much easier to track down what that stuff is worth after the fact versus you trying to remember it all the day after the fire or the week after the fire.
The last question I had too is, are we going to be seeing more insurance companies bailing, the big dogs bailing from some of these high risk states where they just say, it's not worth it, we're going to bail, and we're going to leave these people kind of, to themselves to kind of figure it out?
We'll probably continue to see it here in the state of Texas. Our secondary policy is called TWIA, the Texas windstorm. And they currently don't have enough money if we were to have another hurricane. They asked the state of Texas, same thing like other insurance companies, hey, we're going to need more money. We need to increase premiums, or we're going to need an injection from the state for money. And the state told them no. We had a small hurricane last year, Hurricane Beryl. It cost the state over $1 billion. And that almost wiped out. They have about 500 million left in their reserves to be able to pay out claims. These claims continue to grow and grow, and it's because of the cost of construction. I mean, what in Texas used to build our average price point house was between 250 and 300. Now it's over $600,000. So as long as housing continues to escalate as far as pricing goes, it's going to be tougher and tougher for insurance companies to keep up.
Yeah, it sounds like it. All right, Ron, thank you so much. It's always good to catch up with you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah.